वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय, assembled devotees की जय। Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devi Dasi, welcoming all of you to Bhakti Sangha conference call. May I know who all joined this morning?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Neetu from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna Neetu Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining and giving your sweet association every single day. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna Yashimati Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining every day and chanting so beautifully. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Srila Prabhupada. This is Preeti Vilasni Devi Dasi from Atlanta.
Hare Krishna Preeti Vilasni Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining and all glories to your wonderful services. Welcome to the call Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Bala Vrinda, welcome to the call. Thank you for joining in. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? No, usually Mataji joins early. Today she didn't join. I'll give a message to her. We can chant. I just left a message to Mataji. Usually she joins early, but today I think she's getting late. I will be chanting until Mataji joins. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare,
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
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 Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Ram
Ram Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare Ram
Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Krishna
Yeah,
Krishna Hare
Mataji will
Hare
be joining in a couple of
Hare
minutes.
Ram
Hare Krishna 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 Hare
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 Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Ram
Hare Hare Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna
Nam
Krishna
Nam
Hare
Nam
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Nam
Ram
Nam
Hare
Nam
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
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 Krishna
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 Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare Ram Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Hare
Nam Nam Nam
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram Hare Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Nam Nam
Krishna
Nam
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
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 Hare Krishna
Hare Rama,
Krishna Krishna
Nam
Krishna
Nam
Hare
Nam
Hare
Hare Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Nam
Krishna,
Nam
Hare
Nam
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
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 Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama, Nam Nam
Ram
Nam
Ram
Hare
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 Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare Ram,
Hare
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 Ram, Ram Ram Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama, Nam
Hare
Nam
Krishna,
Nam
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna
Hare Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna, Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Nam
Krishna
Nam
Krishna,
Nam
Hare
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare Hare,
Nam
Hare
Nam
Ram,
Nam
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare Ram,
Nam
Ram
Nam
Ram
Nam
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Hare Hare,
Nam
Hare
Nam Nam
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Ram Ram
Hare
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 Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Nam
Krishna,
Nam
Krishna
Nam
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna Hare
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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Nam
Hare,
Nam
Hare Ram,
Nam
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Rama,
Hare Ram,
Nam
Ram
Nam
Ram
Nam
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram
Rama,
Hare
Nam
Hare,
Nam
Hare
Nam
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
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 Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Nam
Krishna,
Nam
Hare
Nam
Hare,
Hare
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 Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Ram Ram
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Ram,
Nam
Hare
Nam
Ram,
Nam
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
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 Hare,
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Nam
Ram,
Nam
Ram Ram
Nam
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare, Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama,
Hare
Nam Nam
Krishna, Hare
Nam
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram, Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Krishna
Nam
Krishna,
Nam
Hare
Nam
Hare,
Hare
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 Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama,
Hare Ram,
Nam
Hare
Nam
Ram,
Nam
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
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 Hare,
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna,
Nam
Hare
Nam
Hare, Hare
Nam
Ram,
Hare
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 Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Nam 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 Hare Hare.
Yeah, I will read the Prabhupada quote. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. Before we start the class, we will read Srila Prabhupada's quote for today. Today's quote is very wonderful. July 3rd. Anyone who carries Krishna within himself constantly can go anywhere and turn the place into a sacred pilgrimage. Letter to Rupanuga, July 3rd, 1968. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, we'll be waiting for Mataji. I think Mataji is getting connected. That's name is Mataji's I'm reading. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Oh. Yeah, that number is Mataji's, but Mataji is not able to connect. She has some network issue. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Yeah, that Anjana Ganesh, someone joined, right?
Yes,
That was Mataji only, but she was not able to connect to the audio. There is some issue.
Is it from the phone?
Maybe Mataji. I told her to connect back.
Okay.
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Krishna. Yeah, Mataji is here.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale
Yeah,
Hare Krishna,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Now I can hear you. Yes, yes, yes.
Sorry for the delay, Mataji. Something was wrong with my.
No worries, Mataji. No worries at all. Thank you for always coming on the call. Hare Krishna, everyone. I welcome everyone to Bhakti Sangha conference call once again. Today we are very, very fortunate to have Her Grace Antaranga Tulasi Mataji to enlighten us on the topic of Caitanya Bhagavata MAdhya Khanda, first chapter 404 to 408 verses. I now hand over the call to you, Mataji. Please take over. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I offer my humble obeisances to all the assembled devotees here, and I am very, very grateful and consider myself fortunate to be able to be present here today. And as always, I'm very thankful to Vinita Mataji, who is always repeatedly giving me chance to glorify Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu and relish the words of Vrindavan Das Thakur. I would like to start with the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Ritinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasavi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare आजानुलंबित भुजौ कनकावधातौ संकीर्तनैकपितरौ कमलायदाक्षौ विश्वंभरौ द्विजवरौ युगधर्मपालौ वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरौ करुणावतारौ कृष्णलीला भागवते कहे वेदव्यास चैतन्य लीला रव्यास वृंदावन दास कैला चैतन्य मंगल जहर श्रवण नशे सर्व मंगल Shrivinda Thakur ki jai. So I welcome everyone to this session of Sri Caitanya Bhagavata MAdhya Khanda, Chapter 1, text 4, not 4 onwards. This Madhya-kanda is a very special part of Sri Caitanya Bhagavat because it is in this Madhya-kanda that the Lord begins his sankirtan pastimes. So throughout the Adi Khanda, which is dealing with his childhood pastimes and his scholastic pastimes called Vidya Leela. So those two are described there, which is also very sweet, which is very beautiful and very nectarian for the hearers because they deal with the Supreme Lord's pastimes, which are very unique and very special for Navadvip Dham. But the reason, the main purpose for the Lord's incarnation as Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, the form of the golden avatar, was to present and preach the Sankirtan movement, preach the movement of the chanting of the holy names. And that portion, which is like the crest jewel among all the pastimes of the Lord Sri Gaurahari is known as Sankirtan Shiromani. So in Sridham Mayapur, when we have the Rajbhog Aarti, which happens after the Rajbhog offering, around 12 noon, we have this Aarti in which they sing Yashomati Nandana, and then we sing Hari Haraya Namakrishna, and then we sing a few names of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, like Sachinandana Gaurahari, Navadvipa Chandra Gaurahari. In that, one of the names of Gauranga Mahaprabhu that we glorify him and we sing during the Aarti is Sankirtana Chudamani Gaurahari. He is the Chudamani, he is the crest jewel which is worn on the head, the Chudamani of Sankirtan movement. So that was one of his greatest benediction that he gave to this world. And even in this inauguratory Mangalacharan verse that Vrindavan Dasaku writes for Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is Ajana Lambita Bhujau Kanakavadhato Sankirtaneka Pitarau Kamalaya Dakshav. In this verse, he is glorifying Gauranga and Nityananda together. In the dual tense, the whole verse is written. So every word in that verse ends with the word Au. That is Ajana Lambita Bhujau Kanakavadhato. So Au means it is representing his giving all these qualities that he's mentioning, these adjectives attributed to two people. So it's a dual case. So who are the two persons? He is glorifying Sri Gauranga and Sri Nityananda. So in that he says Sankirtaneka Pitarau. These two personalities are the father of the Sankirtan movement. So this Sankirtan movement is a very special pastime of the Lord. It is the most important pastime of the Lord. And we as followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we call ourselves a part of the Sankirtan movement, Sankirtan Andalan. And we preach the chanting of the holy names. So this Madhya-kanda is where the beginning of this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sankirtan movement is described. And the Sankirtan movement which happened in Navadvip, in the house of Srivas Thakur, is the most wonderful, the most nectarian, the most highest part of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. There is nothing in this three world which is equal to description of the pastimes of Sankirtan that the Lord had in the house of Srivas Thakur. In fact, that pastime is non-different. It is, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, the pastimes that Sri Gaura Sundar had in the house of Srivas Thakur while performing Sankirtan pastimes, those pastimes are non-different from Krishna's pastimes with the gopis in the Rasa Sthali in the form of Rasa dance. So how elevated and how special is Rasa dance? That much special is the Sankirtan movement. And yet it is so accessible to everyone. The Rasa Leela is not even accessible to Sri Lakshmi Devi. But this Sankirtan Andalan, the Sankirtan pastime of the Lord, is described by Sri Kaviraj Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita, by Vrindavan Das Thakur in Chaitanya Bhagavat, and it is going on till present by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and our Acharyas, that even today we are able to read and also personally participate in the Sankirtan movement of Sri Gaurahari. In Mayapur, if you watch in Mayapur TV, you can see the Sandhyarti. And during the Sandhyarti, which happens at 6:30 p.m., we sing the Gaurarti written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Ivo Jaya Jaya Gaura Chandar Aratika Shobha. And after that song is sung, then there is Hare Krishna Mahamantra loud chanting in which the the leader of the Kirtan, he says phrase by phrase the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, and then he makes everyone repeat. And the Sandhya Aarti is one of the most crowded aartis in Mayapur. The whole Panchtattva hall, we have the 5 beautiful Panchtattvas standing on the altar. The Lord is present, and there's a huge hall, and that hall is packed, all with pilgrims who have come from different villages, from Calcutta, from different parts of India. They have all come to attend the Sandhya Aarti. And at that time, when this lead Kirtanya, he makes everyone repeat the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and that Kirtan goes on for 30 minutes. And everyone, if you see, they're all raising their hands and chanting the names of chanting Krishna's names, the holy names, in front of Panchatattva, Gauranga, Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhar, Srivas. They are all watching. Their merciful glance is falling on all these people, and they're all chanting the holy names of the Lord in Navadvip Dham, in the temple of Sri Radha Madhav. And this is the Sankirtan pastime of the Lord. All those people who have come, the pilgrims, maybe they are coming first time to Navadvip Dham, first time to ISKCON temple, maybe. Some of them might be chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra for the first time. We don't know what they do in their home, from what backgrounds they come. They might not even be following the 4 regulative principles. But having come there, by chanting and by participating in the Sandhya Aarti, they are getting entrance into the Sankirtan pastimes of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. This is the mercy of Sri Gauranga, Sri Nityananda, the Panchatattva, that everyone is able to participate into the Sankirtan pastime. And by getting entrance into this and by continuing the Sankirtan, by chanting the names of the Lord, one can go back to the spiritual world and get entrance into the rasa dance of the Lord. So this Sankirtan movement, which is non-different from rasa dance, by performing in the proper way, it gives us access to Sri Krishna's rasa dance, which is, it gives us entrance into relishing the pastimes of Krishna as the son of Nanda Maharaj, which is the ultimate aim of all the Gaudiya Vaishnava devotees. We all consider, we all want to realize and relish Gopi Partur Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Anudas. We want to realize our identity and act on that position, which is possible by the Sankirtan movement. So such an important Sankirtan movement, the inaugurating of the chanting of the holy names of the Lord was done by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that is described in this Madhya-kanda, especially from what we are going to start today. So this is the end of Madhya-kanda of Caitanya Bhagavata chapter 1. So having Mahaprabhu come back from Gaya, having received initiation from Ishvara Puri, he was experiencing Krishna Prem, and everybody was bewildered by the way Mahaprabhu was behaving. And now towards this end, we are seeing that Mahaprabhu was a teacher, right? He was in Navadvip, he had his own students, he had a few students, and he was teaching them. And it is said that Navadvip was so famous for knowledge that Chaturdike Lok, they used to come from all the 4 directions. They would come to Navadvip to learn Sanskrit and to learn the scriptures. And if they came to Navadvip and they studied, then they would get the mellow of Vidya Rasa Pai. They get they enjoy the nectar of Vidya, of knowledge. So that was the glories of Navadvip. And in that Navadvip, Sri Gaurahari was the crest among the teachers. So when everybody was coming to learn under him, but after coming from Gaya, Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu was always in memory of Krishna. He was seeing Krishna everywhere. And because of that, when he would speak also, he would speak about Krishna only. The students would ask questions from grammar. You would have seen all this, you have come across all these verses. The students would ask, can you please explain what this dhatu means? And the Lord began to explain that Krishna is the origin of all dhatus. Dhatu means the energy of Krishna. If the dhatu leaves the body, if the consciousness leaves the body, then it is just plain matter. So like this, he was explaining everything in relation to Krishna. And the students were bewildered, they were astonished, they were amazed, and they grew more, their attraction for Sri Gaurahari grew more. So one day what happened, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was in this way glorifying the Lord for quite some time. And then he asked the students what happened, what did you learn today? So then the students told Mahaprabhu that not only today, but for the past 10 days, you have been explaining to us only about Krishna. So then, and our studies has been stopped. The material education that we were getting from you has been stopped. So then the Lord said, why didn't you tell me this before? You could have stopped me and told me this. I would have come back to my external consciousness. Then the students, these students are also very glorious. We should not think that they don't know the glories of Mahaprabhu, because they have got the good fortune of being the students of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Every day spending so much time with him and hearing from him about Krishna. So they were great personalities, but they were performing this pastime. So they told Gauranga Mahaprabhu that we know what you're teaching is the ultimate aim. Krishna is to be known. The scriptures, the Sanskrit grammar, the Sanskrit logic, the literature, everything is supposed to lead us to Krishna, which you're explaining. But at this time, we are not ready for it. Our aim of studying grammar is something different. So when they said like this, and Mahaprabhu himself, he said that I am helpless because I'm after taking initiation, the Lord was so much into Krishna Prem. He was always absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna that he couldn't come out of it. Even his own teacher, Gangadas Pandit, he came and he explained to him that I understand that you have received Krishna Prem, you are absorbed in Krishna, but your father and your grandfather, he gives the example. He says, your father Jagannath Mishra and your grandfather Nilambar Chakravarti, they were also great Vaishnavas. But they also taught students, right? They taught students normal grammar in the proper way, as all other teachers do. So you also, in that way, you should keep relishing Krishna Prem. At the same time, when it comes to teaching, you should teach them what they need. But the Lord is not able to do this because he was so absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So he tells his students that I'm helpless. Whenever I close my eyes, I open my eyes, every time everywhere, I'm seeing the blue boy, Krishna, playing flute. This is what is coming to my vision, and therefore I'm always speaking about him. So therefore, I don't feel I can anymore teach all of you. Better you all find some other teacher. Navadvip was filled with so many scholars. So you can find some other teacher and go, but I don't think I'm going to teach anymore. So when the students came to know this, that time the real quality of the students come out. They say that having learned from Gaurahari, having studied under you, O Vishwambar Goshai, how can we leave and go to someone else? It's just not possible. We rather will stop studying anymore, and what we have learned from you for all this time, may that always be in our heart, and may we someday realize it. This is our only prayer. And they were all crying because they knew that the Lord has decided not to teach, and we can't get his association in the form of teacher and student anymore. They were all crying, thinking of the separation. And in this way, when they were crying, they asked the Lord that now, Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu tells to them that you have all studied under me so long, you have attentively listened to me so long. One last time, just hear one more thing. What is that? Please chant with me. So this is from where we're going to start today, reading Caitanya Bhagavata.
I think Mataji is having a weak connection today.
So we are in text 4.
Oh.
Yeah. We are in text 404, and when you shortly complete this chapter, this is the last section of this pastime of the dealings between the students and Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu is the last part of this chapter. After this, the next chapter, Madhya-lila starts. That starts with Mahaprabhu starting the kirtan in the house of Shri. So this is like kind of a prelude to that main pastime, that great bombardment of love of God. It is Lochandas Thakur says that Gaur Nitai, they have cut the dam of which was blocking they compare Krishna Prem to an ocean or a sea, and it has been blocked by a dam. And the dam is broken by Gaur Nitai, and the flood is coming. Flood of Krishna Prem is coming. So that dam was broken in the house of Srivas Thakur. And this pastime, which we are going to read today, is a prelude to that most historical event in the material world. Madhaji, can you share the screen from text 404? We shall begin today. So here, thus the scholastic pastime, the Vidya Leela of Sri Gaur Sundar is getting over, and from now on, the Sankirtan Leela is going to begin. It's 404. Chaturdike Ashrakanthe Kade Shishyagan Sadai Hoya Prabhu Bolena Vachan. The students surrounding the Lord were choked with tears, and as he mercifully spoke to them. So, thinking of the upcoming separation from the Lord, they are crying, and the Lord is giving his last words to them. Text 405. Kodila Shunila Jato Dinadhari Krishna Kirtana Kara Paripurna Kari. You have studied and listened for many days. Now let us chant the names of Krishna together to make everything complete. So here Mahaprabhu is explaining how the completion of everything is only when you glorify the Lord. That is when any action achieves this completeness. Purport by Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The Lord said, as a result of studying and hearing linguistic literatures for so long, I have understood that chanting the names of Krishna is the only essence and fruit of such studying and teaching. It is the only purport of the Vedas. Therefore, O students, you should constantly engage in Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all dust accumulated for years, which extinguishes the fire of the conditioned soul of repeated birth and death. Which extinguishes the fire of the conditional life of repeated birth and death, which is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the ray of the benediction moon, and which is the life of all transcendental knowledge. Okay, so therefore, O students, you should constantly engage in Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all that is accumulated for years. From this sentence up to the last sentence, can someone guess or answer which verse is Srila Siddhanta Thakur quoting or paraphrasing here? Can someone try?
Cheto Darpana Marjana.
Please recite the whole verse, Mataji.
Mataji, please you recite, Mataji.
Anyone would like to recite this verse?
Mataji,
can I recite?
चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमः जावाग्निर्वापनं श्रीयकैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं नावदो जीवनम् then
Anandamurtardhanam
बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मास्पनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्ण संकीर्तनम्.
Right. Thank you, Mataji. So this is another very beautiful aspect about the purports of our acharyas. Sometimes they directly don't mention what are they quoting. Sometimes we see Siddhanta Thakur's purport or even Prabhupada's purport, extraordinary lot of quotations, Mundaka Upanishad, this point, this, Taittiriya Upanishad, this point, this, Isha Upanishad, this, that, Mahabharat, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So many quotes. We see how scholarly they are. They can pick all these quotes. And sometimes it's only text. But that text is not something they are concocting or they are writing. But actually, many times they are paraphrasing different verses only. So sometimes this is very beautiful aspect that we can relish when we read the purports of our acharyas. Of Prabhupada also sometimes you see in Bhagavatam purports you will find some purports he'll be mentioning a long text which is actually almost the paraphrasing of another verse in Srimad Bhagavatam only. Sometimes they mention, sometimes they don't quote, but actually the whole paraphrasing, and it is very for me it is very interesting, and it when I'm reading it, keeps me entertained, or it keeps my attention, which verse could this be, which verse. Sometimes you get to connect. It's a nice way to connect through Bhagavatam. Even here also like this, when we can correlate the verse and the text. So beautifully Siddhanta Thakur is here. He's explaining what all happens by doing Krishna Sankirtan. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this 405 verse, he is telling the students that you have studied and listened me all these days. Now I'm going to leave and go. So let's complete everything in a nice way by chanting the names of Krishna. So the ultimate essence and fruit of studying and teaching anything for any purpose, it has a good ending if we chant the names of Krishna. This is the conclusion of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu himself. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is concluding this himself, and not just concluding out of nowhere. He himself did the role of a student and of a teacher. As a student, he was the most brilliant student in Navadvip. He was Nimai Pandit, the most brilliant in the school, the most brilliant in the entire Navadvip. And if we analyze his whole life, he was the most brilliant in the whole world at that time in his study. And as a teacher, when he became a teacher, he was the greatest teacher of Navadvip, greatest teacher of in Sanskrit. So he who did this role, he is telling that having he was a best student, he was the best teacher, and he knew everything. And now he's saying that I have understood that the essence of studying and teaching is chanting the names of Krishna. So he's giving us the analysis. So if now we need not even go through studying and teaching, we can directly chant the holy name. That essence the Lord has given to us, chanting the holy names of the Lord. And what happens by doing that? Siddhanta Thakur explains the dust accumulated in our heart through many, many years, which means innumerable lifetimes, that will get cleared. Our heart will get cleansed. So we'll become pure in heart. Then it is going to extinguish the fire of repeated birth and death. So we'll be getting out of this material world. No more Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. And which is the prime benediction for humanity. Why is it the prime benediction? There can be many more benedictions that can be given. For example, being disease free. Is there not a big benediction for humanity? So many people will be so happy if it is guaranteed that you will have no disease. They'll be living happily and they'll say, okay, dying is also not a problem. As long as I have no disease, I die very peacefully. Is that not a big benediction? No. This is the best benediction because it spreads the rays of benediction moon, which is the life of all transcendental. The transcendental knowledge which is gained by doing by chanting the holy name of the Lord, that is the greatest benediction. This is something very similar to what is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 1, canto 1, chapter 1, text 2. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmat saranam satam Vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayon moolanam. Srimad Bhagavatam Mahamuni Krite Kimva Parereshwaram Sadhya Hridyamaruddhite Atra Kriti Sushroshvis Takshana. So in this verse it is mentioned that the Srimad Bhagavatam propounds the highest truth, which is the best thing for the humanity, which is the most auspicious, Shivadam. Why? Tapatrayon moolanam. It removes the threefold miseries of this material world, removes the three modes. So Tapatrayon moolanam. This is something very similar to what mentions here also, that it frees one from repeated birth and death and purifies one's heart. So this, why both of them have this quality? Because they both are propounding the highest truth, the transcendental knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who are we? What is our relation with Lord? How can we become servants of the Lord? This whole thing is given in the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, and that entire Srimad Bhagavatam is present within this chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So this is, we cannot be enough thankful to Mahaprabhu for giving this, and we cannot speak enough of the glories of the holy names. It is indeed it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is a benediction moon that is putting its rays on everyone. The moon doesn't see who I can put my ray on, who I cannot put my ray on. He is not a good person. I'll not put my cooling rays on him. Holy name is spreading and giving cool rays on everyone who takes to chanting the holy name. Can we go to text 406? शिष्य गण बोले न के मौन संकीर्तन आपने सिखाए न प्रभु श्री सचिनंदन. The students asked, how shall we perform sankirtan? The son of Shachi then personally taught them to chant as follows. So here is when the sankirtan andalan is beginning. The Lord, why did Gaurahari incarnate? Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu came to the material world to perform the role of a devotee and to teach us how we should behave as devotee. What should we do as a devotee? As Krishna, he came, he spoke the Gita and he told that we have to surrender to him. And as a devotee, he decided that I should myself come and show how should a devotee of the Gita behave. So for that purpose, he came. And that purpose, and what is the other purpose? His another purpose was to relish the mellow of Srimati Radharani, to relish what she experiences when serving him. So all these things, all his different purposes which is mentioned in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, there are the internal and external reasons for the Lord's appearance. You can go and refer them. All those reasons for the Lord's appearance, they all culminate in the Sankirtan movement. By performing the Sankirtan movement, by he performing the Sankirtan movement, he fulfilled all the purposes of his incarnation. So that Sankirtan movement begins here. The Lord is now personally going to teach them how to perform Sankirtan. The students are asking, how should we perform Sankirtan? Because until this time, at large, nobody would chant the holy name of the Lord loudly. If we see when Mahaprabhu appeared in Navadvip Dham, there were majority Muslims, there were majority, and there were Hindus. Of the Hindus, there were Shiva worshippers, Durga worshippers, Kali worshippers, the Smarta Brahmanas. They all, what would they do? They would chant the names of the Lord within their minds, and they performed all the ritualistic ceremonies. Like that, the situation was. There were a very handful of Vaishnavas who knew the proper meaning of the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy of Srimad Bhagavatam, and they would come together and read Srimad Bhagavatam loudly and chant the names of the Lord loudly. But that was a very few handful of people. So therefore, the students here, they're asking, how should we perform Sankirtan? Today, Nam Sankirtan is so easily available for us, for any person actually speaking. If one goes out on the road, there might be devotees doing Nagar Sankirtan. In the West, I see a lot of videos. In fact, I have a very close friend who is staying in Melbourne. Her name is Harita Madhavi Devi. So she keeps sharing with me how they regularly do Kirtan in the streets so often and so magnificently, so attractively that anyone who is passing on the road will get attracted and spend some time there. I see those clippings she sends me, and I also see so many places in India also. We see Nagar Kirtan, book distribution going out everywhere. And ISKCON temples nowadays, many Hindus, they come to ISKCON temple. ISKCON is very famous now. Like for Mayapur has become a tourist destination. So many people come to Mayapur, and Sankirtan is always going on in the campus, in the temple, in Samadhi, in Bhajan Kutir, in Goshala. Everywhere Sankirtan is going on, and they come and see. So the Sankirtan is so easily available today that people can easily learn. But imagine during Mahaprabhu's time, these are all students. These students are all sons of pious Brahmanas, very great Brahmanas. They're all studying under Gauranga Mahaprabhu, staying in Navadvip means they're all sons of great pious Brahmanas. And they don't know what is Sankirtan. They're asking, how should we perform Sankirtan? And the Lord is going to teach them. So how rare was Sankirtan at once upon a time. And by the mercy of Prabhupada and Acharyas, how Sankirtan is so much available to us today is something that we should often reflect upon. Purport by Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. While describing Krishna Sankirtan in reply to his students' inquiries about the absolute truth and devotional service to Vishnu, Sri Vishwambhar, who is the husband of Saraswati, the transcendental goddess of learning, taught those students about the descending process of accepting knowledge. So there are quite a few important points here. First is what was the purpose of the students' inquiries? They wanted to know about the absolute truth and devotional service to Vishnu. So in this mood, the students are asking this question. And another important, beautiful aspect is the addressing of Gauranga Mahaprabhu here. Sri Vishwambhar, who is the husband of Saraswati, the transcendental goddess of learning. In relation to one of Mahaprabhu's pastime, I exactly don't remember which one. I heard in a lecture that how there are two Saraswatis actually. One is the goddess of material learning, and there's another Saraswati who is the goddess of transcendental learning. And when we take to when a person takes to Krishna consciousness, all the demigods, they will help him. And in that sense, Sri Saraswati, who is a transcendental goddess of learning, she also helps that person by making him understand the scriptures. The person need not endeavor too much, because when one endeavors, one might not be able to understand so easily. But when the scripture themselves reveal themselves, then it is more easy. So therefore, what did Vishwambhar, the husband of Saraswati, the transcendental goddess of learning, do? He taught the students about the descending process of accepting knowledge. So there is this ascending process that will explain further about the ascending process, in which we try to go and learn. This process of descending with accepting knowledge is when it is coming through the sampradaya, when it is coming down, like how we receive the Harinam. We go big and we get it from one person. We don't try to ourselves go read and try to unravel it. So that is Mahaprabhu taught this process of accepting knowledge. And another significant place in Chaitanya Bhagavat, where Shri Vishwambhar as the husband of Saraswati is stressed. Can somebody think of? It is something that you have already covered. You have come across this pastime. A pastime where this aspect of Gaurahari Sachinandan being the husband of Saraswati is very much stressed. Plays an important role.
No, is it in Keshav Kashmiri pastime,
Yeah.
Mataji?
Yeah.
Yes, Mataji.
Keshav Kashmiri. Yeah.
Elaborate. Keshav Kashmiri's pastime. Why is this aspect of Mahaprabhu being the husband of Saraswati expressed there?
Because there, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was defeating Keshav Kashmiri will, because he got the boon from Lakshmi Devi, right? So then that's when the Saraswati Devi, sorry. And then that's when, she is the wife of Lord. So that's when it is that concept came here.
She explains to Keshav Kashmiri, that how can I speak? That was my husband in front of you. So therefore I was silent. So my benediction didn't, it cannot work there. That is he's my Lord in front of you. Very beautiful. Your name, Madhuri, sorry, I'm unable to see the participants. So.
Mataji, it was Vinaya, and Indu Mataji also. Sorry, Vinita Gandharvika and Indu Mataji also answered.
Jai, thank you, both of you. So yeah, so these names of Mahaprabhu is so beautiful. Chaitanya Bhagavad is special for this. So many times in Chaitanya Bhagavad you find a common name, Vaikuntha Nayaka, the Lord of Vaikuntha is used. These beautiful names of Mahaprabhu come. And same in the purport also. So many times, so many. I in fact noted one verse when I was reading Madhya-kanda before, as I was preparing for this class, before text 403, I think maybe in one of the text 200 of this chapter, there was this verse that I had noted down. Chalila Paduya Shange Prabhu Vishwambhar Taraka Vishtita Jana Purna Shashathar. As Lord Vishwambhar walked along with his students, he appeared like the full moon surrounded by stars. It's a beautiful verse to meditate upon. In Navadvip Dham, when the Lord is walking with the students, how did he look? He looked like Purna Shashadhar, the full moon, Purna Shashadhar. He looked like the full moon surrounded by the stars. The students are like the stars. So beautiful description. So Chaitanya Bhagavat is known for this descriptiveness. Something very unique to Chaitanya Bhagavat. Very descriptively each pastor is mentioned. The beauty of the ambience, the personalities is very deeply mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Continuing. Since the path of argument was not respected in his teachings, the uselessness of ascending process has been revealed. So this Mahaprabhu has already established that this ascending process is useless. Because Mahaprabhu himself, as Nimai Pandit, was a great argumenter and debater who was undefeated in Navadvip. And now he himself has come to this conclusion. Therefore, the ascending process of argument has been proved useless. The chanting of Vishnu mantras is recommended to check sinful attempts for temporary fruitive activities and impersonal knowledge on the useless ascending path described in Srimad Bhagavatam 6.3.25 and 10.14.3 verses. Prayana Vedatat Idaman Jnane prayasa mudapasya. Okay. There are two verses. Jnane prayasa mudapasya. This is one verse from Brahma's prayer to Lord Krishna. Sorry, I lost my. Yeah, but the concocted artificial doggerel verses chanted by so-called Vaishnavas who maintain current misconceptions, who are averse to the descending path, and who are envious of Hari Guru Vaishnava, were not instructed by anyone, either Mahaprabhu or his non-duplicious liberated servants, the Jagadguru Acharya preachers. What a beautiful last sentence that he says. Siddhanta Thakur is explaining here. He says that these so-called Vaishnavas who don't accept this descending process of receiving by mercy from the acharyas the knowledge, who are averse to descending path, and who are envious of Hari Guru Vaishnava. That is, they are very proud of themselves and they're envious of the Supreme Lord, the spiritual master, and the devotees. Such people are not instructed by Mahaprabhu. Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu is called Patita Pavana. He recently in Guru Maharaj in his Trivikrama month letter to all his disciples, Japatak Swami Guru Maharaj, he wrote a letter to all his disciples about the what they should about the Trivikrama month, his message in the month of Trivikrama. And in that he mentioned that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to deliver the fallen, the most unfortunate, the most sinful, and the most unworthy person, like the most useless people he has come to deliver. And so, which person can be so merciful? You know? So that kind of Gaura Chandra, but he does not instruct one category. Those are envious of Hari Guru Vaishnava. So this class is something which is so dangerous to be put into, that you are put into that class of people if you become an aparadhi, that you don't even get access to Gauranga's mercy, which is so easily available. And it not only Mahaprabhu, nor his non-duplicious liberated servants. So this is a very beautiful phrase that explains how should the devotee of Gauranga Mahaprabhu be. We followers of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, followers of Srila Prabhupada, should be non-duplicious, liberated servants. We have to first have the mode of a servant and be non-duplicious. And this non-duplicious liberated servant, this phrase, if you see, if you take this as a benchmark and you look at all the acharyas in our line from Mahaprabhu, his associates like the Panchtatva, Sarup Damodar Goswami, Rai Ramananda, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, coming down, Srinivas Narottam, Ramchandra Kaviraj, Shyamanand Pandit, or anybody in Chaitanya Charitamrita, or then comes Gaur Kishore Savaji Maharaj, Jagannath Savaji Maharaj, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, and all our present day sannyasi, acharyas, devotees. This is, if you can clearly see this quality in them. Non-duplicious liberated servants. So this is a very beautiful phrase that he in Siddhanta Thakur's purport here. And they are the Jagadguru Acharya preachers. Having these qualities, Jagadguru Acharya preachers. So even that pure devotees, they also will not show you mercy if you are an aparadhi of Hari, Guru or Vaishnavas. How risky is that position of, you should be so careful from committing offense to Hari, Guru and Vaishnava. As Thakur says, Hari, Guru, Vaishnava, Bhagavad Gita. This is our main asset. We should always be servant of Hari, Guru, Vaishnava, Bhagavad Gita. Never be envious of them. We are their servant. We get Krishna Prem very easily. If we are offenders of these 3 personalities, then we come to a situation where we can't even get the mercy of Vaishnavas and Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Rather, they gave instructions on chanting mantras and holy names received through disciplic succession. Mahaprabhu exhibited the pastime of receiving such mantras and holy names through disciplic succession and gave instructions on the same. So the Lord is teaching through his example. He himself received, there was no need for the Lord to go and take initiation. Why should he do that? But he did that just to set example, because he is he has come here to set the example of how a devotee should behave. So in that, as a part of that pastime, he has showed us that how we should accept this process of descending knowledge, process of accepting knowledge, the process of descending, and take shelter of a spiritual master, take shelter of all the Vaishnavas, and in that way accept the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 407. Hare Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. O Lord Hari, O Lord Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you. You are known as Hari, Yadava, Gopala, Govinda, Rama, Shri Madhusudana. So this is the mantra that the Lord is propounding to his students. How to perform Sankirtan? Come, I will teach you. This is the mantra. Hear the mantra carefully. This is the mantra that Mahaprabhu is chanting. And he's telling them to chant this mantra. So many times people, devotees think that this song was written by Narottam Das Thakur, Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama. Yes, that song written by Narottam Das Thakur, but that first mantra, that first phrase was given by Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And in purport to Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada says that this Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Pas, this is an equivalent of Sri Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And it should be chanted as much as possible, especially in Sri Mayapur Dham. It's a very beautiful, it's one of the Nam Kirtans. When you go on Nagar Kirtan, we can chant these, we can chant. Sometimes we have Rath Yatra now, Rath Yatra season going on. In every day or the other for the past few days, news is coming. Okay, Rath Yatra in this place, that place. Everywhere Rath Yatra is going on. So sometimes in Rath Yatra Kirtan, we find devotees trying to find out some new things to sing. You know, this might attract the people, that might attract the people, and they sing some new tunes or new bhajans or phrases. But we have enough phrases already given in our by Srila Prabhupada and Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda is there, and Hari Haraya Nama Krishna is a song I feel can be sung more in by devotees regularly. It's a very beautiful song which Narottam Das Thakur wrote. The whole song is so beautiful, and this verse which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling. Srila Prabhupada also, he mentions in Chaitanya Charitamrita purport that I want this song to be sung in Mayapur more very often. Purport by Srila Thakur. It's a very technical purport. I'll try to explain as much my very insignificant capacity. In this instance, the fourth case of the names Hari and Yadava is used to indicate Sharanagati or Atma Samarpan. So this fourth case is in Sanskrit, every word, it has 7 cases which are there multiplied into 3 singular, dual and plural. So there is 7 cases into 3. So the fourth case is specifically kept for addressing, indicating surrender or for this person. So in that sense, Sasi Thakur is mentioning this. In other words, a person who is desirous of chanting the holy names of Krishna should first receive transcendental knowledge by fully surrendering at the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master, whose only resolution is to chant the holy name of Krishna. This is what the students of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have done here. They have taken shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most bona fide spiritual master one can ever receive. And he is always desirous of chanting the students wanted to know what is Sankirtan. They wanted to know, they were desirous of chanting the holy name. So they took full shelter of Gauranga Hari, of Sri Gaura Hari, who has come to chant the holy name of the Lord only. He should constantly engage in hearing the topics and holy names of Krishna from the mouth of the spiritual master and the Vaishnavas, and he should loudly call out and always chant the holy names of Krishna without offense. So what should we do? We should take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master who always chants. We should be desirous of always. We should always be eager to chant the holy names of the Lord, and continuously hear topics of Krishna from the mouths of devotees and loudly call out the Lord, the holy names without any offense. Attentively, we know the 10 offenses. Avoiding these offenses in a very attentive way, we should chant. If one wants to chant with full surrender and without duplicity by using the fourth or dative case of the holy names of the Lord, then he is chanting mantra. If one chants the holy names of the Lord as an address by using the vocative case as in Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then he is engaged in bhajan or worship of the holy names. So there are two things. One is like Hari Haraya Nama, which is in the fourth case of Sanskrit grammar, which is meaning surrender. And there is another like our Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is in the vocative, which is addressing the Lord, calling out to the Lord, addressing the Lord. That is for the purpose of worshipping. Chanting the holy name in the fourth case indicates full surrender, whereas chanting the holy names in the form of an address indicates a desire for external service. So this Hari Haraya Nama Krishna, when we chant this verse, we need to have the mood of surrendering to Krishna. We should pray to be able to surrender to Krishna and get the dependence on Krishna. And the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, when we chant that, the mood is we are begging for service at the lotus feet of the Lord. An initiated person is liberated from the bondage of material existence by chanting mantra. And a liberated soul exhibits his eternal bhajan by chanting the holy names as an address. By accepting Krishna mantra as sadhana and Krishna naam as sadhana and sadhya, both sadhya and sadhana are accepted as non-different from one another and as adjacent categories of devotional service. Okay, so what is our sadhya? Sadhya means what is our goal? What do we want to attain? That is the sadhya. So, what is the sadhya of devotees as practitioners of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy? What is our sadhya? What is our goal?
To reach the love of the Supreme Godhead, I mean to go back to Godhead.
To attain love of God and go back to Godhead. Beautiful. And what is the sadhana? So to attain this goal of achieving Krishna Prem and going back to the realm of the Supreme Lord, what is the process we take? The process is called the sadhana. So what is the process that we
chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra?
Chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, reading topics of Krishna. This is what is our sadhana. So by doing this process, by this sadhana, performing this process of chanting the holy name regularly without offenses, when we attain our aim, when we attain our state of Krishna Prem, what are we going to be doing that time? What is the activities of a person who has attained Krishna Prem?
Mataji, can you repeat that? I didn't get it.
I would repeat the question. By performing this sadhana, this process of chanting the holy name, we will attain our sadhya. We will attain the aim of our process, which is attaining Krishna Prem. So my question is, a person who has attained Krishna Prem, who has already attained his goal, that person, what will he be doing? What is his activities?
He's continuing the same thing. It's
Continue
again
that.
the same thing. It's again
Exactly.
the same. Yeah.
That is the same point that Siddhanta Thakur is explaining here. That both the sadhya and sadhana are non-different from one another. This is a very special, unique thing of our Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. Our sadhya, what we do all our life, sadhana, what we practice to attain a particular aim, our aim and our process is the same. We want to attain Krishna Prem, where having attained, we will always keep chanting the name of the Lord. And what is the process that we do? The process is the same thing. The only one small difference is when we are practicing, we have to force ourselves to chant, or rather we have to very mindfully chant. Whereas when we attend Krishna Prem, that chanting becomes spontaneous. It is like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is demonstrating here throughout the Madhya-kanda chapter 1. Since you have been reading for so many days, how he is not able to stop chanting of Krishna, not able to stop glorifying Krishna, even if he wants to try. He's trying to be in external consciousness and teach the students grammar, but is not able to. helplessly he is glorifying the Lord. This is a situation of a person in Krishna Prem. He spontaneously, without even being able to stop, he'll be glorifying the Lord. And as a practitioners, we're trying to do this little bit mindfulness and force. Both mantra and nama are non-different from Vishnu himself. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the names of the Lord are non-different from Vishnu. The practice of chanting mantra is meant to achieve knowledge of one's relationship with the Lord. And when one achieves perfection in chanting mantras, then the bhajan of such a liberated soul begins. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila, chapter 7, text 73, it is stated, Krishna mantra hoite have samsara mochan, Krishna nama hoite pape Krishnera charan. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna in the form of mantra, one can obtain freedom from material existence. Indeed, simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in the form of address, one will be able to see the lotus feet of the Lord. This is the success of chanting the holy names. So this purport is very technical, and I try to explain it to my best. But actually, when I was going through this purport, I felt that if this verse somebody else got today, I remembered His Grace Atul Krishna Prabhu, who always stresses the chanting of Hari Hara and Ramakrishna. There are many more stalwart speakers. If they had got this verse, I'm sure they would explain it in a very more wonderful way. This purport is very important, and I would request all of you to please read this purport once again and share your realizations with each other, or please reflect on this. Please discuss with the Vaishnavas around you on the purport of this verse, and please take notes also. Text 408. Disha dekhaiya Prabhu hate tali diya, apane kirtana kare shishya gana loya. The Lord then demonstrated for his devotees the process of kirtan by clapping his hands while chanting. And I read this verse, I first remembered Srila Prabhupada. That it was very similar for me, that how Srila Prabhupada, when he was in the West, when he started preaching, chanting the holy name, we read in Lilamrita and all that, how he used to teach them how to sing, he used to teach them how to dress, he used to teach them how to dance. The Swami step, he taught them. Raise your hands, keep your feet like this, your right feet on the left feet on the right, like that. This is how you dance. He taught that dance. So I immediately remembered that. Here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you can imagine, Sankirtan movement is just budding. The father, Mahaprabhu is the father of the Sankirtan process. As like the father is teaching his newborn child, the child is just born, Sankirtan movement is just born. So he's nurturing it very carefully. This is the mantra, you should chant this mantra. How should you chant? This is how you chant. He's teaching them how to clap their hands while chanting and demonstrating the process. This verse just shows how much love Mahaprabhu has for the Sankirtan movement, like a father nurturing his child. He is personally teaching them, The Lord is demonstrating. Purport. The phrase Disha Dekhaiya means show the direction, the process, the tradition, the method, or ascertaining the way. This verse is like literally this 407 and 408. It is literally the beginning of the Sankirtan movement. The inauguration has just begun. It is the inauguration just happened now. First he taught his students what mantra to chant, and he's showing the process. He's inaugurating it. And Sankirtan is what? Congregational chanting. So he's chanting along with the students. So that is congregational chanting. So beautiful. 409. Okay, so we'll end with 408. This is one verse, Mataji, it will complete this section. Can you share 409 on screen, Mataji?
Mataji.
Thank you.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
आपने कीर्तन अनाथ करे न कीर्तन चौदी के बेड़िया गाय सब शिष्यगण. The Lord of Kirtan personally chanted his glories as his students surrounded him and all chanted together. Such a beautiful name. Can I tell which name is so beautiful here? The Lord is addressed by one beautiful name in this verse.
Kirtanatha?
Yes. Such a beautiful name Vrindavan Dasar is using to address the Lord. The Nath, Kirtan Nath, and in the purport Siddhanta Guru is explaining. The phrase Kirtan Nath means the father of Sankirtan, the inaugurator of Sankirtan, or personification of Sankirtan. Sankirtaneka Pitaro Karunaya Malaya Dakshan. So beautiful. He is the personification of Sankirtan. This is so interesting. So when we perform Sankirtan, Sankirtan is a form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when we perform Sankirtan, the Lord is coming there. That is so beautiful. In this chapter, further ahead, Vrindavan Dasakar will lament that the scholastic pastimes of the Lord, if I had taken but little bit ahead, because Vrindavan Dasakar was, he was just little bit late. Mahaprabhu finished his pastime Navadvip and went to Puri, and after that only Vrindavan Dasakar took birth. So he says, if I was born a little bit early, I could have witnessed these pastimes, Sankirtan and Vidya Leela of Mahaprabhu in Navadvip. And then he says immediately that I could not see, but that doesn't mean the Lord's pastime is ended. The Lord's pastime is still going on in Navadvip. This Vidya pastime eternally going on. So like that, when we perform Sankirtan, the Lord is personified. Sri Gaurahari is personifiedly present there. And this 409 is like the Sankirtan movement has started. The Lord of Kirtan, the inaugurator of the Sankirtan movement, is personally chanting the holy names, and the students are all surrounding him. You can remember that verse which I just read, that how Mahaprabhu is like the moon, the full moon, and the students are like stars. So here the Sankirtan movement's inaugurator, he is like the moon in the center, and the students are surrounding him like the stars, and they're all chanting the holy name. So this is such a beautiful scene that happened in Sri Navadvip Dham. And even though we are 500 years away from this scene that happened from this beautiful pastime, even today in our temples, when we start the Sankirtan movement, in every temple, Srila Prabhupada first established Gaur Nitai. They are the most important persons in our Sampradaya. They are the father of our movement. So in every temple, Gaur Nitai is there in the altar. Small, big, whatever, they are there, and Sankirtan, Nam Sankirtan happens in every temple. So in every temple, in every house where Gaurnita deities are there and Kirtan goes on in the house of devotees, in the streets where Gaurnita deities are taken in cart or small boxes, or even in the picture of Panchatatva or Gaurnita, and Kirtan is happening. In all these places, the Sankirtan movement is going on, and the personification, Kirtan Nath, the personification of Kirtan, Sri Gaurahari is present there. It's such a great fortune that Srila Prabhupada has given us. We're very thankful to Srila Prabhupada actually for connecting us to the Sankirtan pastime of the Lord. Thank you so much. Today is also the disappearance day of Sri Sanatan Goswami and Sri Bhakticharu Maharaj. Bhakticharu Maharaj, he, by his beautiful voice, by his very sweet, by his Gandharva-like voice, he has enchanted so many people and brought many people into chanting the holy names of the Lord. He was an embodiment of Vaishnava Sadachar, Vaishnava etiquette and Vaishnava behavior. He's always very special to all of us. And Sanatan Goswami is all the more special. He is this Goswamis of Vrindavan who established the Madan Mohan deity. Madan Mohanji is the Lord of Sambandha, and Sanatan Goswami is the Sambandha Acharya, he who connects us with the Lord. I consider myself very, very fortunate and very thankful to this group on such an auspicious day. By giving me this chance, Mataji called me in the morning and she told me to give class on this verse. And because of that, at least half the day after finishing my chanting and my household work, I spent my day meditating on these verses. So on such an auspicious day, you made me perform a very auspicious activity of reading Caitanya Bhagavata. So I'm very, very thankful to all of you and very honored to serve all of you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Antaranga Tulasi Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for such a beautiful, beautiful class. Verses you have explained very detailed with each and every line on the purport. Very grateful to you, Mataji. Thank you so much for always coming on the call, even though I called you very late, but you still came on the call. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We open the forum for the question and answers. If anybody have questions, realizations, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Dev Ki Jai, Gopinath Ki Jai. Please accept our humble obeisances behalf of all Bhakti Sangha Vaishnavis. Mataji, your class is always very, very inspiring, Mataji. So sincerely you explain from Sisi Bhagavatam, Sisi Caitanya Bhagavatam, Mataji. Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam to your sincere seva. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev Ki Jai, Shri Radha Gopinath Ki Jai. Special mercy of Gurudev and your hard work, Mataji. Done well.
Thank you so much, Mataji. It is blessings and good wishes of Vaishnavas like you.
Oh no, Mataji. Our Acharyagan blessing, Gurudev blessing, and your hard work, Mataji. Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Antaranga Tulasi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. A very, very wonderful session. I mean, today has just been a continuous reminder that we need to make sure that we are taking the mercy. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he has freely offered us this special mercy, this special opportunity, and we need to make sure that we take advantage of it. A wonderful, beautiful class, Mataji. I love your realizations and I love the way you shared the entire pastime. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Is there anybody?
These are not my, rather than a realization, it is a reminder to myself also that I should also be doing these things that I'm just sharing with you.
Is there anybody who would like to share their realizations? Okay, if there are no more realizations, we can end the call. Once again, thank you so much, Mataji. Verses are so beautiful. And today the Chaturmasya is going to start on another thing. And next Purushottam month is about to come. Thank you so much, Mataji, where we have to increase our chanting and increase our reading. And this is all very important. Hearing, you have touched upon all those things today, which is very good for us. We keep hearing about it, that we need to increase chanting, we need to increase hearing, and then only we will able to do it. Otherwise, even one day, if I'm not able to hear these words, that I need to focus on my chanting or I need to focus on my hearing, then I will just go somewhere else in this material world. I keep hearing, then at least I'll focus. I'm not saying if I'm really focusing, but at least that coming into my mind, oh, Mataji told me to hear a lot today. I need to hear something extra today, or I need to chant one round extra. It helps me, Mataji, by hearing repeatedly these words from all the speakers. Thank you so much, Mataji. Very grateful to you. I would like to offer my obeisances to you and all the Vaishnavas assembled on the call. Vancha kalpatarobhyasya कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय. जय संतरंग तुलसी माता जी की जय.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for such a sweet class.
Very nice class.
Grateful to you. Thank you everyone for joining. Happy holidays. I know it's holidays time. Happy holidays to everyone. We'll close the call for today.
Today Guru Purnima.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji. Today is Guru Purnima. Yes.